and we are in line 8b in Psalm 80, that says, you have cast out the nations and planted it. And so that sends us to Psalm 44:2. Notice that these past couple of Psalms, we've been going back to Psalm 44 as for reference scriptures. Because why? This psalm right here is a prayer for God's deliverance. That's why we keep going back to it. Okay, so it was 44:2 that says, how you drove out the nations with your hand, but them you planted. How you afflicted the peoples and cast them out. All right, and so that was a contemplation by the sons of Korah. Okay, so going back to Psalm 80, then it says, so you have cast out the Gentiles and planted it. 9, you prepared room for it and caused it to take deep root. Now, they still talking about the vine. So you prepared room for it and you caused it to take deep root and it filled the land. This is remarkable how this is so prophetic about what we just read about the parable that Jesus had given in Matthew. And so look at 10. The hills were covered with its shadow, and the mighty cedars with its boughs, or the mighty cedars, or the cedars of God with his boughs. And so that sends us to Leviticus 23:40. That says, and you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of beautiful trees, branches of palm trees, the boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Okay, and so that just corroborating that scripture about the boughs. And so let's move into 11. She sent out her boughs to the sea and her branches to the river. Now we're talking about this vine and how it continued to spread out. Now remember what kind of sea? Sea is capitalized. So we know it's talking about what? The Red Sea. And then it's saying that in her branches to the river. And the river is capitalized. What are we talking about? The Jordan River. Those rivers that God parted to allow the Israelites to go forth. And so you notice, I'm telling you, every time Asaph continues to go back to the Red Sea and to the Jordan River. And we have to be able to go back to those monumental miracles that God, our master, had performed. We have to do that in order to help us in our present situation, because if we don't get out of our present situation, it's going to be hard for us to face the future. 12. Why have you broken down her hedges so that all who pass by the way pluck her fruit? The boar out of the woods uproots it, and the wild beast of the field devours it. And so now he's saying, why have you now he's questioning God. Why have you broken down her hedges, or the walls, or the fences? So this is almost like an analogy of the vineyard in Israel. So why have you broken down her hedges, or the walls, or the fences, so that all who pass by the way pluck her fruit? Perfect imagery and analogy that he's using, that Asaph is using. So he's saying that the vineyard is broken down, or the fences or the walls around it is broken down, and then so now people are able to go and pluck what? Them grapes off of it, because why? It's exposed. So now, and then it says not only they're plucking her fruit, but the boar out of the woods uproots it, and the wild beast of the field devours it. So once God removes that hedge of protection from around us, that's when the enemy can come in, uproot us from where we are, could attack us and everything like that. And that's what he's doing. Perfect imagery right there. And so we're going to go ahead and pause here, and we'll pick it up in our next stanza starting at line 14.